Tears of the Kingdom will be coming out in but a few days, and to be honest with you, after such a long wait, it doesn't feel real, like it's actually happening. For a very long time, the game lived in that weird space in my brain that's reserved solely for things which don't exist, even though I wish they did. Despite it being so close to release now, despite recent leaks, it still didn't move through this event horizon and into the material plane. Soon it will have to. Soon it will be in all of our hands, forcing it to finally manifest as real. But before that happens, let us indulge in the very final list of predictions, in no particular order. Some of them are more grounded than the others, and many probably won't end up being correct, but that's alright. After the game comes out, we will revisit this here list and see how many I got right and how many were completely off the mark. Feel free to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss it when that comes out. And to clarify, I have not seen any of the leaks. I haven't even looked at the demo gameplay presentations from large news outlets and Zelda creators. I don't wish to know their contents, I want to see and experience these things for myself. If any of the following predictions have already been confirmed or debunked, awesome! I don't want to know, and many of the commenters don't either. Please respect that and don't post spoilers. Thank you! This one is fairly simple, and I have discussed it in quite a bit of detail in a previous video of mine. With all the evidence we have available as of the last Tears of the Kingdom trailer, I am fairly certain Zelda will be transported into the ancient past, likely more than 10,000 years ago, and this is why finding her will be so difficult for Link. While she's there, she won't just be a sitting duck, I mean it'd be very out of character if she was, and instead actively work against Ganondorf, together with the person who sealed him originally. Again, something I discussed at length already, with the emergence of weird water balls, I am slightly less sure of this prediction than I was after Mr. Aonuma's gameplay presentation, but I am choosing to be hopeful and stand by this prediction. Diving is something that was sorely lacking in the original Breath of the Wild, especially with detailed reefs of the Necluda Sea, and with caving now being a thing as well. I want waterlogged caves so bad, man, please! Okay, hear me out. To all of you who have played Elden Ring, that's at least one person, right? Do you remember the first time you stumbled upon Siofra Riverwell? You entered, stepped on the elevator, and expected to be taken to another catacomb or maybe other damp mini dungeon location. But then the elevator kept going, and going, and going, and then the walls surrounding you were gone and you beheld an enormous starlit cavern as the elevator still rode down. I want this to happen. I'm gonna predict that in a surprise haha, but there's more twist, Tears of the Kingdom is going to suddenly unveil to us the ancient Hyrule, version of the map Zelda went to. And I think we won't get to play it as Link, but rather as Zelda. If Link is supposed to find her, she has to be in a space which we can go to, and since she's already there and she has a task to do, then why not let her have her own playable sections as a secondary protagonist? Obviously, I wouldn't expect the entirety of the ancient Hyrule to be available to explore. Zelda is not Link, she has limitations. She doesn't have Link's new abilities and isn't as fit as him. She can't glide, she's not going to go climbing vertical surfaces. Because of this, walls and mountains will turn from just a suggestion to hard barriers again. But she does have her Sheikah Slate back, and now it has runes, which Link unlocked, and perhaps more since Pura and Robbie have had time to work on them during the time skip. Zelda would have entirely different moveset than that of Link, allowing her to interact with the world in completely unique ways. The main supporting detail for this prediction is the haircut. I know, it ain't much, but we've worked with less when predicting this game, so... Long hair physics is very difficult to get right. It's fine if characters sporting it only ever appear in pre-rendered cutscenes, that way the physics engine doesn't have to handle it, instead it's the animator's job to deal with it. But having Zelda cut her hair and make it very short would relieve the burden of animating hair physics correctly from the engine, allowing Zelda to have complex in-engine animations. Same goes for Hyrule. She previously had long hair because her in-engine animations were pretty limited, so the braid was fine. Now she'll be a companion. Her animations will need to be more complex, so the braid had to go. Speaking of the companion system, it looks incredibly fun and feels like it could open up the door to asymmetric multiplayer, where other people could join you in Hyrule as random NPCs. Besides the companion system, there is one additional piece of evidence towards this prediction: the recent wave of mod takedowns. See, before Nintendo descended upon Point Crow with the strikes and blocks, before this whole situation came about, the only videos which were targeted were purely the multiplayer ones. Think about it. The multiplayer mod, despite making the news multiple times for various reasons, was allowed to exist for months. Mario Odyssey multiplayer mod has been and still is allowed to exist even longer than that. Both made waves. There is no way people responsible for the takedowns weren't aware of the Breath of the Wild multiplayer before, but then suddenly, shutting Breath of the Wild multiplayer became imperative. Just Breath of the Wild multiplayer. Again, Mario Odyssey multiplayer is still fine. Pray tell, why would that be? Maybe Nintendo really wanted that mod gone, not because of copyright infringements, but rather because it would create a direct competition for a fantastic new feature they are keeping hidden for their new high-profile game, which will be releasing very soon. To be fair, this is very tinfoil hat territory, but maybe. Back to simpler predictions, I think we will be rebuilding Hyrule. We'll probably get to erect structures everywhere where there are foundations and settler stands, Tarrytown style. Also, I predict we will be restoring some of the old structures which fell into disrepair. Think ruined villages all across Hyrule and the castle itself. I'm really hopeful for that one, because evidence seems to be there in the trailer, and also having visible impact on the world of Hyrule would be mad cool. This person whom another creator lovingly dubbed Richard, so I guess that's what we'll be going with, is a Zonai. That's the prediction. It's not a goat, it's not a dragon, it's a Zonai, and Zonai are lizard people. That's it. That's the prediction. In a similar vein, I don't believe this person to be a Zonai. I think this is an ancient Hylian, and that she is our Zelda's very distant predecessor. I don't think she's Hylia, and I highly doubt she's awakens Zelda, or however that theory goes. It's just an ancient Zelda. Sidon is seen wearing a crown. He becomes king of the Zora sometime after this one scene in what looks to be an open-air water-based dungeon. I think that there is some sort of blight polluting Zora's domain, as other creators have speculated, and that King Dorphan dies to that pollution, rather than step down to allow Sidon to take over. Wouldn't be the first time Zora's ruler died in a Zelda game either. I think Teba is missing from the trailer because Elder Canelli died, and Teba was forced to take over the rule of the village as the Rito chief. Because of this, he had to become responsible now, which probably bores and annoys him a whole lot, because he's Teba. I think Yunobo is fine, and that he is still the Goron champion. No clue why they didn't show him, but I think he's fine. I don't think this is the mice. As I kinda detailed in my trailer analysis speedrun, this is clearly the same model as that of Ganondorf. Other creators have also pointed out that the flowing, glowing red hair looks a lot like the hair of Korpsendorf. I think this is Ganondorf shortly before being sealed away by Richard. I know he has horns now, I have no real explanation for it. Mayhaps they grew as a result of channeling malice through his body and his glorious locks, who knows. But I am adamant that this is not the mice. If you notice the Sheikah slate held by Zelda in her official artwork, the design of it is quite a bit different from what we know from Breath of the Wild. The symbol on the back of it closely resembles the weird googly eye thingies Pura wears. So I'm gonna go ahead and predict that Pura has the original Sheikah slate, she has replicated it, and now multiple exist, though perhaps Zelda is the only one currently in possession of a prototype, which doesn't require a cable to work, explaining why Link doesn't have one at any point, except in that one short elevator shot. Again, this is a speculation video thingy which I have made already, and you should check it out if you haven't. In short, I stand by this idea. I think Zelda is in the past, she can act within the past, and she has the capability to raise sky islands which previously weren't there up into the air. I think it will either be a mechanism to halt and slow down player progression, only allowing to unlock certain areas of the sky after clearing relevant story events, or it will be a fully customizable world is your oyster kind of situation, allowing us to just move these islands around however and whenever with soft, knowledge-based progression knocks. Okay, this one is good. This kinda relies on Playable Zelda prediction being correct, but here goes. I think we will be getting a braided story structure, separated by the eras. The current day will be more similar to how Breath of the Wild worked. It will be freeform, with little to no structure and only minor amounts of plot scattered sparsely around the world. Then, we will also get the past, which will be more story-focused and structured, with less free reign but a more fleshed-out plot. Switching between the two will occur through something akin to the memory system found in Breath of the Wild, allowing the player to control when they will be entering the story sections and the rate at which the story progression will happen. From the official material we've gotten from Nintendo, I get a distinct feeling that Tears of the Kingdom has aimed to address all fan complaints about Breath of the Wild, but in a way which will still preserve the experience of those who loved Breath of the Wild as it was. The fuse mechanic, music, and the dungeons all seem to point at Tears of the Kingdom being a bridge between the split halves of the fanbase. And the story structure I just proposed seems like a perfect way to solve Breath of the Wild's story issues while keeping both sides of the fanbase happy. I'm sure this one is already confirmed true or false by the gameplay demos, but here goes. I think there are many more abilities Link can collect as he progresses through the game, kind of like dungeon items of old. Recall is clearly connected to the tier Zelda has. They share the symbol, and UI icon for Recall is deliberately different from other abilities shown off by Mr. Aonuma. I think tiers will be another way the developers will attempt to bridge the gap in the fanbase. Lack of dungeon items was another one of common complaints against Breath of the Wild. Dungeon items were replaced by champion powers, but they didn't feel like dungeon items enough, leading to fans of the classic formula complaining about receiving all of the tools of the game available from the get-go. I think the tier system is a direct fix for that. Link will still receive his main set of abilities from the start, together with Richard's arm, but as the game progresses, his arsenal will be expanded by 7 or 8 tier abilities, at a rate of 1 per completed dungeon. Each tier will likely be found midway through the dungeon, and its ability will be required for the dungeon's completion, just as it was with the dungeon items of old. Also, as a side note, I think it's extremely telling that Mr. Aonuma in his gameplay presentation is never shown switching abilities. You'd think there wouldn't be any reason to cut the menuing out if there wasn't something to hide, right? And a quick honorable mention. It doesn't count because it's confirmed already. But I just want to say that I freaking called it. I called Fuse Mechanic, I have been calling it for months, and I regret not making that weapon durability video I've been thinking about like in February. For a while now, in various places on the internet, whenever durability discourse came up, I was saying that I like the durability, I think they should keep it, and I think that a system allowing us to repair damaged weapons wouldn't fix the issues people had with the system, it would only exacerbate them by nullifying all benefits durability brought to the table in the first place. Instead, I thought they should introduce weapon crafting, akin to what Breath of the Wild already had with champion weapons. You take your materials and maybe lower level weapons to use them to craft new, stronger weapons. That way, if you really want that sword and it breaks on you, you can just remake it, fill the inventory with copies of it, and be fine. It also alleviates the weapon scaling issue, which made all early and mid-game weapons obsolete in the endgame. If they can become something else, they're still worth picking up. And just to prove that I am not bullshitting you, my dear viewers, I have freaking receipts. This is my Trello card with the video idea and description that was written in February. These are discussions I've had in the comments under my weapon durability poll. And this is a string of messages I've clicked send on literal days before Mr. Aonuma's gameplay presentation. There, now I feel somewhat vindicated. Now that we're done with the list, do you agree with me? Which of the predictions is your favorite? What are some of your own predictions? Share them with us in the comments below. Thank you for watching and see you in a month! Tears of the Kingdom's coming out! Woo!